Welcome everyone to EdTech Monday Nigeria, brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with the Co-Creation Hub Limited. EdTech Monday is a platform to facilitate critical conversations on the use of technology for teaching and learning by bringing together key stakeholders, including policymakers, EdTech entrepreneurs, teachers, and parents. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of the show. My name is Joyce Daniels, your usual host. Today, our topic is digitizing higher education in Nigeria, opportunities and challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic has proven the important role technology can and should play in enabling resilience at the higher education level. The integration of information communication technology into education is thus on the rise in Nigeria as access to internet increases and prices of digital devices gradually become more affordable. So on this episode of EdTech Mondays show, we would shift our focus to e-learning, online learning at the university level in Nigeria. We have in the last 2 years witnessed an increased demand and urgency for e-learning at tertiary level. According to Onyamiri 2021, the benefits of digitizing education cannot be overemphasized. It includes increased accessibility to information, flexibility of learning, improved collaboration, and personalization, amongst others. However, digitizing education requires a mindset shift and, of course, a number of investments to provide contextually relevant content, infrastructure, training, and, of course, devices. As part of the discussion and in celebration of 10 years of the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program, which is the biggest scholarship initiative of its kind, partnering with universities around the world and in Africa to enable access to higher education, we will explore what lessons we can learn from various e-learning initiatives at the tertiary level in Nigeria. So to you, our wonderful audience, we'd like to hear from you. Tell us, in what ways can we leverage technology to increase access to quality tertiary education in Nigeria? Do join our Telegram channel, EdTech Monday Nigeria, or send us a text or WhatsApp message on 0703 165 0809. I'll take that again, 0703 165 0809. In this edition of EdTech Monday, our panelists will discuss digitizing higher education in Nigeria, opportunities and challenges. I'd like to welcome our panelists for today. We have with us Dr. Oluremi Saliu, who is a staff of the National Open University of Nigeria now, where she currently serves as the acting head of Department of Environmental Health Science, Faculty of Health Sciences. She holds a BSc in biochemistry from the University of Lagos, and she bagged her MSc and PhD in biochemistry, both from the University of Ilorin. Dr. Oluremi is a fellow of the Occupational Safety and Health Association UK. She's a fellow of the African Institute of Public Health Professionals and also a member of the Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, amongst others. She's versatile in open and distance learning with certificates from various workshops, including the International Council for Open and Distance Education 2021, amongst others. She has also published articles in both local and international journals. She actively engages in health-related community service and is a recipient of several awards. Welcome, Dr. Oluremi. We're glad to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
Also with us is Michael Asefon. Michael is an experienced software engineer with a demonstrated history of working in different information technology and services industries, smart contracts, and white papers. He is skilled in languages like JavaScript and PHP, amongst others. He's a scholar of information technology at the National Open University of Nigeria, NOUN. Welcome, Michael. Glad to have you here with us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Thank you. Our third speaker for today is Oluwatoyin Ajilore-Chukwuemeka. Oluwatoyin works at the intersection of education, entrepreneurship, and social development. She has demonstrated a history of creating and researching education models that unlock learners' minds, prioritize their critical thinking, and connect them to their innovative abilities. As a lecturer at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria, she actively prepares students for the 21st century world. Oluwatoyin is currently a doctoral student in STEM education at Tufts University in Boston, where she focuses on empowering teachers in creating pedagogies that promote responsive teaching and learning in science. As a nonprofit leader and social entrepreneur, she constantly engages youths across multiple African countries in developmental work through training, mentoring, and teaching, with the goal of unlocking their capacity to drive sustainable development in light of the African Agenda 2063, which is the Africa we want. Welcome, Oluwatoyin Ajilore-Chukwuemeka.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. The interesting thing that I found about online learning is, people say, why should we take learning online? Is it necessary? And all of that. For me, my idea of it is education should be done in the way, in the mode, on the platform, the world in which you are doing its uses. So if we are now in a digital world, where work happen online, relationships happen online, we do most things online. At least a part of education should be online too. So it's not about maybe online learning is better than traditional learning. It's more about where is life happening in this times. So that's the first idea about the whole idea of. Now to my institution, honestly, there was really no online learning in University of before COVID. In fact, I started out lecture in October 2019. And at that time, maybe the few things I've done online is that a lecturer probably shared soft copy of their notes with one of maybe my class rep, and they went to print it and then give it to us. That kind of thing. That was probably the best online learning I did as a student. But when I was resuming in 2019, my idea was simple. I looked at the world that we are now in. Being a young lecturer, being the youngest, and why I could not do things the way it has been done, because the people who did it that way did it what was working in their world. So the question I was asking myself is, what is the world today like? What is the challenges the student who is going through the world of work today has to face? What are the skills they have to have? And that's why I made a personal decision that I needed to include a bit of digital in my teaching. And honestly, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought students would be excited about it, but I met a lot of challenges. And it made me realize that, it was a lot of cultural change. So what I did was I did a bit of a hybrid model where, of course, we have our classes come to class. I teach. Every other thing happens online. From notes, I don't give physical notes. I don't dictate. I don't know that. I have PowerPoint. I have PowerPoint I already give to the student before we start the class. And that's what I share with them. And then I use Google Classroom because most of them have Gmail. So it will be easy to let them do Google Classroom than the other learning management systems. So I did a classroom where they could ask me further questions. I could send them assignments, they could submit assignments, and stuff like that. Thank you for that question. I think it's a very, very crucial question because I feel like we like too much fire brigade approach in Nigeria, where we have to do things when we have to do them, and we don't think of long term. Right now, very few people are using online learning in the university. A number of people that are using it, most using it for convenience. And honestly, I will not completely blame them too. Because they were not, the whole thing was not groomed, it was not brought into play as something we wanted to be doing for life. It was brought into play as something we needed to do for now. Yeah, and that mind alone, because I believe that whatever you do, start from how you think about it. So the idea was that students could not come to class, so we have to teach them online. As soon as students could come to class, everybody ditched it. It no longer mattered. Now, right now, in fact, when we resumed, and there were still some things happening physically and all of that, I wanted to introduce a bit of online, teaching online, all of that class again, but I realized that there was even resistance among the students. And I think that's the part where people are not talking about. We make this obstacle to digital in the university. We think it's just about infrastructure. It's just about lecturers. Honestly, it's not true. It's not complete. There's a bit of an obstacle from the students that we're not paying attention to. A number of students are used to it, that it will take a lot of behavioral change for them to change and adopt new things.
One of the roadblocks to higher learning is the cost of attending a university. Should we expect to see the cost come down with expansion of online learning?
And that's a very interesting question. Well, I need you to understand that digital learning is not cheap. It's not. In fact, like I was saying to you the other time, part of the issues that I had with my students, they don't have devices. Some of them don't have, devices like this. Some of them use Symbian phones, things like that. They can't use Zoom. Even when they can use Zoom, the space is small, all of those things. There's the cost of data and a few other things. But I also think that because I think what can make digital learning a little bit cheaper is the fact that there's a beginning cost that is not recurrent. Yeah. So because we can take the recurring cost, for example, I can record a course and students can keep listening to it for the next. Do you understand? So on that level, yes, I think it can. But I think what really makes it work on the long run will be if we are able to also look into the other costs, things like cost of data, things like devices, things like even locations. So some of those things we need to be looked into to eventually make online learning, make education a little bit cheaper. But I think on the long run, by the time we're able to cover some of these initial costs, online learning can actually make education a lot cheaper.
My final question, what does a transition to e-learning or blended learning mean for instructors, lecturers at the higher education level? What kind of support would they need to be a part of the journey? Dr. Oluremi and Oluwatoyin, please.
Thank you for saying the blended learning, because waiting for a question that will help me talk about that. I know that a lot of people think that the future of education is digital, but I believe that the future of education is blended, not completely digital. Because the truth is, there are some things that physical interaction that digital cannot have it. So the goal is not to remove physical. The goal is to ensure that we maximize it. What I mean by maximize is, let us keep physical learning for the things that work best with physical interactions. Any other thing that we can replicate online and it doesn't reduce the quality, let's go online. We need to invest in basically mindset shift. Things that help us see that this thing can work. Things that help us see that we ourselves can do it. I think COVID was a major mindset shift. Many people who taught online never thought they could do it until they had to. So that's the first thing. Mindset shift. Second is training. And no, I don't mean just training on how to use Zoom or how to use Google Classroom. Because many times when people talk about training, they limit it to technical skills. You know, how to use this, how to use that. I mean training on how to teach us. In fact, training on how to teach. It's amazing to me how we keep thinking teaching is just a talent and not a professional skill. It amazes me that in the university system in particular, teachers have no need to learn how to teach because before they become lecturers. Nobody cares. There's professional growth in teaching. We made the university so much about research. In fact, I don't know if people know that promotion in university is really about your papers. It doesn't have anything to do with how you teach, how you teach well or not. Your teaching has nothing to do with your promotion. It's ridiculous. So I feel like we need to invest in teaching teachers how to teach.
What is your take on online learning in general and online learning at the university level, especially in Nigeria? What has your experience with online learning in your institution been like before and, of course, during COVID-19? Dr. Oluremi, please.
All right, thank you so much for that question. My experience has been very enlightening and interesting. Before COVID, Open University had always been an e-learning university. And we leverage on open and distance learning to actually educate our students. So during the COVID, we were able to have a robust learning environment for our students. They did not lack to concerning their knowledge because we had this platform where we use educational resources through Zoom to facilitate courses. So where you have an instance of over 77% of universities within Africa being closed down during COVID, Open University didn't have that challenge. We had leveraged on e-learning. So right now, most of our facilitation has now gone to another level. Before COVID, we had face-to-face facilitation, whereby it's more like a blended facilitation. Some courses were facilitated face-to-face, while some were online. But because of COVID, we went to another level where we have facilitation totally online. We even had our exams conducted online. And the advantage of e-learning cannot be overemphasized. According to Sir John Daniel, 2005, the challenge, the triangle, that iron triangle of one, cost, quality, and accessibility has been defeated by that revolutionary platform of open and distance learning. You have easy access to education for the underprivileged, for those that are interested in being educated. It's so amazing that now we can leverage on e-learning to actually succeed concerning the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which talks about access to education by 2030. So thinking backwards and looking at Nigeria, the fact that we are now more aware due to COVID, sometimes something bad happens, and before you know it, it becomes an advantage. I'm beginning to see that COVID came and actually pushed most of the conventional universities, unlike Open University that had started, and the focus had always been e-learning. Most of the conventional universities are now forced into using the platform of e-learning to actually enhance education.
So my next question is now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I know you've touched on this a little, some institutions switched to leveraging digital technology to facilitate teaching and learning, while some others began to consider online learning for the first time. With these institutions having since reopened, in your opinion, is the momentum for digitized education still there, or is it waning?
Well, the momentum for digitized education, I don't think is as high as the pressure that came during COVID. So most of the conventional universities, even though they are now more aware, they are not prioritizing it like it ought to be. They are more aware. They were trying to actually encourage digitization of education. The push was so much during the COVID because most of the schools just closed down entirely. In Africa, like we said, 77%, but now that COVID is over, I think most of them have relaxed a bit. They're not pushing as much as they should.
So tell us, Michael, what has your experience been with online learning compared to face-to-face learning at this tertiary level?
One of the key things for me is the flexibility. So I have the flexibility of doing other things, basically. As you introduced me, I'm actually a software developer. I work for companies again. So I don't have to drop my whole work and go to the 4 walls of the school just to get education, basically. And this is the key for me. I can do other things with my life. So it gives me the flexibility of going to programs and learning new skills, basically, and just still gain the knowledge in the 4 walls of schools.
In a study conducted by Doris Dokwa Sasu in February 2022, the National Open University of Nigeria was described as the foremost online and largest university in Nigeria, with over 500,000 students as of 2019. Wow. Can the online learning model of NOUN expand access to higher learning in Africa, especially among the underserved communities? If so, what necessary investments required to leverage this opportunity in increasing accessibility to tertiary education? Dr. Oluremi, would you please field this for us?
Thank you so much. I was privileged to go to the camp in Durumi, and I noticed that there were so many of them. They finished secondary school, and now they have terminal education. And thinking about it, I began to research into what can be done concerning this underprivileged, disadvantaged communities, especially the girl child, the young women that are the ones that are most vulnerable. And I came up with a module that why don't we use leverage on open and distance learning? Like this platform, what can be done? Can we have study centers just like we have in Open University here? We have over 100 study centers. We cater to the less privileged. We have study centers even in the prisons. We have people that have finished degree programs in the prisons. We have centers of excellence. We have ASTEL, African Center for Excellence for Technological Enhanced Learning. So we have all this. One thing I can propagate is the fact that we can have mass digital literacy plans, whereby there's more awareness on the advantages of e-learning. If people are aware that you can actually access tertiary education through e-learning, I'm sure many people will key in. We can also have infrastructures in these regions. In Nigeria, these internally displaced camps have come to be. For some years now, we've been having insurgents. We are praying that it will go away. But from all the look of things, it's as if it's part of us now. Even floods are causing people to be displaced. There's so many camps. We have 4 major camps in Abuja here. I've gone to one. Over 2,000 people living in that place. So many people have now had terminal, education. So these are the areas we can come in, leveraging on open and distance learning. You don't have to be in school. Like my guy, Michael said, he said flexibility. You have the access to education wherever you are, whenever you want, at your time, at your place, at your pace too.
From my personal experience, I've done my BSc and also my master's now. The only master's level in Nigeria that is actually having a good structure for online learning is NOUN. So one thing I also suggest to other universities is to have a good structure for online learning and distance learning. Structure in layman language, like platforms for learning, which can connect a teacher to a student. So they don't need to physically come together to interact. So they can interact wherever they are at any time. For example, these have a lecture and can be recorded, and student can definitely take the class probably in the day or night or anytime the person definitely is comfortable to take the class. So these are basically structured that can be put in place. Also, and the one that can be done again are platform like assessments. So people don't need to physically come to class to take tests. Just for tests, people travel miles just to attend classes. This can be avoided basically by having good structure platform whereby the teachers can put up question on the platform, set the time for it, if it's time-based, if it's unlimited time based on the choice of the lecturers. It's quite difficult for individual lecturers to stay kickstarting online learning. The resources and everything is difficult. So the structure is going to come from the directors, the VCs, the directors of EdTech and everything. So they need to come in with a good structure which can help everybody, both the student and the lecturers together. So that is all the summary of everything.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Oluremi, please.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. The support, Michael mentioned one, we need to have training and retraining. We have to have training and retraining. Like in Open University, we had a training just before the COVID on quality assurance, where we learned to use learning management systems like the module. You know, we had that platform and we're trained, and then we trained other people, both academic and non-academic staff, so that you are aware of how to use the internet and open educational resources to actually facilitate courses. So we need training. There's supposed to be exposure, you know, interventions in different aspects of education. You know, for example, we should have stakeholders meeting where we enlighten the stakeholders concerning education, e-learning, education through e-learning to achieve the sustainable development goal, which will go a long way in enhancing development in Africa, particularly. Policymakers, they should make it compulsory that universities, even if you are conventional university, can have blended, blended face-to-face, yes. And then it is also compulsory that you also have the platforms that can enhance e-learning. For example, in Ilorin some years back, they began to give us computers. When I was doing my PhD, the undergraduate classes, they insisted that the students they have subsidized, cost for computers that were, the students were very, very excited, and iPads. They made it compulsory, and they started sending assignments through that platform. So by the time you do that, you can see down you are trying to incorporate e-learning. Even though you are a conventional university, you are still incorporating e-learning into that platform.
You have shed a lot of light on this challenge on how to expand our e-learning at tertiary levels. So to our listeners, please tell us, in what ways can we leverage technology to increase access to quality tertiary education in Nigeria? Do join our Telegram channel, EdTech Monday Nigeria, or send us a text or WhatsApp message on 0703-165-0809. That is 0703-165-0809. And let us know what you think. We'd like to especially thank our panelists today for your priceless contribution. My name is Joyce Daniels, your host, and it's been my pleasure hosting us again today. To all our listeners and viewers, check out and look out for us again next month. Goodbye for now.